Hi there and welcome to Planet Zoo. So today I've been working on my British Zoo. I've kind of neglected this zoo for a long time. I started it last year when the game launched, where I built the entrance and the mansion house, then I added the reptile house and the tiger enclosure, then I sort of got sidetracked by other projects. But I've been wanting to get back into this save file for a while, to start populating this classic zoo with some more animals and whatnot. I mean, I've probably already put about 100 hours into this zoo, and it has got some nice designs in there, and it's got a great theme with the classic zoo design, so I do want to finish it. So I went back into this save file yesterday and decided to make a Peafowl walkthrough exhibit. Where this exhibit is situated, it's adjacent to the mansion house, and I've put it here deliberately to replicate a historical walled garden. Now, many historical houses have their own walled gardens. These were made to grow exotic plants, with the high walls built to shelter the garden from the wind or frost. This meant they could sustain more exotic plant species than you'd typically find in a temperate European climate. So I thought creating a walled garden that had been repurposed as a walkthrough peafowl exhibit would work well. So the barricade for the exhibit is a classic brick wall, as it would have been when this was a working garden. Inside, I've got a stone walkthrough path that cuts right up the middle of the exhibit, and this continues either side, so there's plenty of space to view the peafowl. The start of the exhibit, I've created what I consider to be the heritage of the garden, so a rockery garden. I've filled these with some fancy colourful plants, as well as these overgrown metal arches with the benches underneath. Now, when I created this habitat, part of me was considering the purpose of the exhibit too. A lot of zoos, particularly those in the grounds of stately homes, they'll make extra income from renting out space as a wedding venue, which I'm pretty sure this stately home that I've built here could handle, if that was something in the game. I figured going with a classic elegant theme for the exhibit, that would also serve a purpose as a photo opportunity for wedding parties. So I've set this theme off with the twin fountain ponds. This is then continued with tearing the ground up through the exhibit. I mean, that's also why I've gone with the overgrown arches here, with the painted white benches. Perfect for sunny summer days. Not so great if it's raining, I guess. Anyway, classic elegance is what I was going for with the design. The tiered ground also gives a bit of height to the habitat. That's great for the peafowl to give them a bit of space to escape the crowds if they need to. The covered shelters I've made up here, now I'm calling these fancy gazebos. What I was going for with these was to bring some grand Victorian design into the habitat. I tried making them out of the classic glass pieces initially, but it didn't really fit with it being an animal shelter. I wanted quaint elegance, which I think I've captured with these little wooden structures, rather than it being some sort of big grandiose glass house. As they are, I think they're fancy enough and they're getting the point across what I wanted to. It's pretty clear when you look at them that they're meant for housing animals, rather than a structure for people. Now, the bridge across the path allows the peafowl to move easily from one shelter to the other, without having to cross the guest path below. It's also a good focal point for guests. For my walkthrough habitats, I'm trying to create spaces that lead you through, with key focal points. The peafowl are quite happy to get across to the top here using the steps that I've created. They sometimes like hanging out on the walls too. The peafowl statues I've got here, well, they don't really serve any main purpose, they just add a bit of vibrance to the design. So in all, I'm quite happy with this little space. It fits in well with the overall design of the zoo, and it's been nice working on an exhibit as part of an overall concept zoo, rather than a one-off. I've done a lot of one-offs. So with this in mind, I've also added some amenities and staff facilities that go in the overall zoo. So the staff rooms around this side, I've got a keeper's hut, a vet clinic and a staff room. These are very plain prefabricated buildings because I don't want them to stand out. You never want the staff facilities to draw the eye. I always try and tuck them away in little corners, but also make it really easy for staff to get to the habitats that they're looking after too. These facilities are blocked from guest view by a fence post and a gate. Eventually, these facilities will also be shared with whatever animal is going to sit in this empty space here. Around the other side of the peafowl, I've created a space for what would have originally been a gardener's cottage. When this was make-believe as a stately home, the helps such as hunters, gardeners and the gatekeepers, well, they would have been housed separately from the main house. They would have lived away in these very small homes close to their workplace. So here the gardener's cottage has been repurposed as a food hall and a dining courtyard. So that means there's finally somewhere for my guests to get something to eat in this park. I've also added back here an old gated entry to the gardens from here, so that's kind of make-believe in when this was a gardener's cottage there would have been direct access to the garden from the side here. I also added a staff building back here for the food and drink vendors. I've started this to look like an old brick shed that would have been connected to the cottage. Oh, and before I forget, something else I created here is theming up an old ATM machine. Now, I wanted this to be a standalone thing. I didn't want to put the ATM inside a building, but it doesn't look very weatherproof on its own. So I've created this little shelter for it with a bit of an overhang at the top. This is made from some of the wood boards and plank pieces, which I use all the time in this game. They're one of my favourite pieces. So I thought that was pretty neat. The other thing I've added here is a very basic looking restroom. That was deliberate. Now, the other restroom I've got in this park, that is way out at the entrance and is inside what is, I guess, a repurposed brick building. Now, for this structure, I wanted it to look more haphazard. We needed a washroom here, so we've just put up this very basic structure to house the restroom. I feel like this is more true to life, and in places like zoos, theme parks, maybe even campsites, you will see these kind of very basic restrooms go up. So yeah, that's everything in the zoo right now. Still got a long way to go. Next time, I'm going to work on adding another animal next to the peafowl, and I want to rework the amenities section up here. I'm not happy with how the gift shop I've put up here is looking right now. It's just way too modern. I think I'm going to replace this with a combined gift shop and a food court. So I'm hoping what you're liking where I'm going with this zoo so far. Let me know what you think in the comments. Until next time, thanks for watching, bye for now.